So, what is the first thing you think about when you hear the word shadow self? Would it be fear, shame, evil, darkness, all of the above? So, in reality, what we're referring to when we hear the phrase shadow or shadow self would be unintegrated or unhealed, wounded parts of the self. So those would be things such as guilt, fear, shame, abuse, addictions, things of that sort, even self-abandonment, for example. So those are basically things that we keep pressed down inside of ourselves if we have not actively worked to heal those things within us. And ultimately, what happens is the more we suppress emotions, wounds, and things like this, and we hold them down and force them not to come out, it's still going to be energy that is trapped within your body, and that can manifest in a variety of ways, such as physical or mental illness or addiction, even because ultimately what is happening is you're ignoring and avoiding those parts of yourself that cry out to be healed and released because it's energy and it's staying stuck within inside your physical body without anywhere else to go, and that's going to manifest itself in the physical. And a main reason that's believed why a lot of people suppress these things is just a fear of what will come up to the surface if those parts of them are exposed. And a lot of it does come from trauma initially, or the way that we are programmed in this 3D reality to be told that something is inherently right or wrong, black or white, up and down, left and right, etc. And without that ability to process those feelings and emotions is when a lot of the times we see what is now termed to be narcissism and things like this. And what happens with that is these people need to project their reality outside onto other people. Their wounds are being therefore projected onto other people as if they are the ones carrying those traumas, and those tend to be directed toward people who are highly in tune and empathetic and have done that inner healing and shadow work. So they are prime targets and easy prey for people who have not done that shadow work. And I would go as far to say as this can be also we even see this a lot in the spiritual and particularly the religious community, where they tend to spiritually bypass people, especially when it comes to these normal human emotions that we are not taught to fully integrate or process. Therefore, we bottle them up. And coming from a, I guess, religious perspective, you could say, with the spiritual bypassing stuff, a lot of this is often tossed out of the window, and we are told by the church, the system that's projecting this stuff, that you should just give your feelings and emotions up to God. Let God handle it because you are too weak and, easily manipulated to handle your own feelings yourself. And inherently, what this is doing is you are giving away your own power to an external source to make you feel some sort of temporary relief or comfort, which does not serve you in the long run when you are not able to sit with your own feelings that are happening inside of your body, because this is the first sign when you can tell something is wrong. We are being told from a young age not to feel our emotions, or hey, stop crying, why are you crying, just stop, it's annoying, big boys don't cry, big girls don't cry, just brush it off, etc., etc. It goes on and on, okay? And what that does is we are being taught that we need to be operating from a place of logic and reason. And the thing is, we have to have logic and reason in order to survive and to aid in proper and healthy decision making. First of all, that is normal and it's healthy. But when it overshadows or overrides our intuitive abilities, this is when we start to see problems. And the thing is, if you want to be able to discern the two, your logic and reason from your intuition, the first thing you're going to do when you are listening to your logic and reason would be you're operating solely from your mind and your thoughts, and you're trying to narrow things down as to why something feels this way and why it shouldn't feel this way because of how we've been programmed and conditioned to how we should or should not feel. And when you're operating from listening on a soul level to your intuition, you're first of all going to feel that inside of your body. You're going to feel it in different points and energy centers within your body, and that is ultimately going to let you know whether you were listening to your intuition or just the logic and reason. Another good point I wanted to add to tell the difference between your intuition and anxiety, for example, is when you're listening to your intuition, you tend to be more clear-headed about things, and you will feel it in your body, but it's not going to overwhelm you and make you so sick to the point where you're losing sleep and constantly overthinking things, because the anxiety comes from overthinking things which manifest into physical symptoms. With intuition, you are going to inherently know something, you're going to feel it internally and also in your mind, and that's going to reveal itself outwardly as well, if that makes any sense. Another quick point I want to make is when a lot of people turn away from their shadow because of that fear of innately being told that this is wrong, it's scary. We've been conditioned so deeply into thinking everything is either black or white, and it keeps us in this state of imbalance, because the thing is, we are supposed to be living a human experience in this world as we've reincarnated many times over to learn these experiences, to grow and evolve. And if we are staying stuck and complacent and constantly giving our own power and energy source away, we are not going to be able to grow and to learn these lessons that we are put here to learn. And then they just keep repeating themselves in a cycle. And that's when we keep having to relearn these painful lessons so many times over and over with, different people, but the same type of situation, if that makes sense. And I also wanted to bring up one more point, and that would also be why people turn away from things that scare them. And as I said before, this comes down to not being able to properly integrate their shadow and fully embody that emotional intelligence, which in turn brings emotional awareness and clarity and empathy. And we're able to decipher what is right from what is not right for us personally. And a lot of times people turn away from evil things is because it makes them uncomfortable and it triggers something within them in their own shadow that brings up traumatic memories, and they're not able to fully integrate and process that for another person because they're not able to process that for themselves. And this is a lot of times why, for example, you will go to a person for advice and they may not have gone through a similar situation as you, but they're wanting to give you advice out of trying to be kind or nice, okay? But the thing is, if you're going to a person for advice and they have not lived that same life experience as you, it may not resonate with you, and you may feel like it ultimately may feel like an attack. But if you're self-aware enough to understand that they are just not on that same emotional level as you, then you won't take too much of an offense to it, because not everyone is operating off of the same frequency, and we're all here to do our own work, and we're not always going to resonate with what someone else is going through. So hang on. Yeah, sorry. Another point is, when people tend to give advice, it is coming from their own personal experiences. It's their own life experience. So they cannot tell you how things should be if they have not lived your life. And also, if they're seeing things from only one perspective, if they're not going any deeper emotionally or spiritually, they're not going to be able to align with you. And that is so important. And that's a big problem I see happening everywhere today, is that people try to connect with each other, but if there is no shared values, if there's no emotional intelligence or depth, there's only so far you can get in a connection with somebody that is not on the same level spiritually, emotionally, mentally, etc. Especially if you're coming from a place where you see things from a more esoteric or occult perspective and you're wanting to go deeper because you're doing that inner work and you're understanding what it means to operate from a balanced mindset, because that's what it is. That's the state of being that we're all trying to strive for as you know, we're multidimensional beings on this earth right now, but we're living this human experience and it's solely for the purpose of evolution. And the thing is, when you're going to a person without that experience, they're not going to feel things in a way that you do, if that makes any sense. And that's why a lot of times you see people that have not done the shadow work and they claim to practice witchcraft, or they're into the occult and they've dabbled in it, for example, or maybe perhaps they've gone in a little bit deeper. And ultimately, if they have not done that inner work and sat with their own shadow, which is projected outwards, it causes things to manifest in their physical reality, which inform like will end up scaring them in some sort of way, because they find out, okay, this power is real, but it's evil because, all these things are happening now. But the thing is, this is why it's so, so important and vital to do inner work before getting into any practice and really sitting with yourself and allowing yourself to process these deep emotions. Otherwise, they are going to bubble up and surface, and then you're going to see this as a sign that something evil is attacking you. And a lot of times, this is why people turn back to religious constructs, because it is more easy to swallow and it's more comforting for them because they don't have to do that deep inner work. So instead, they give it to the external power source, the source in general, or whatever that may be. Some of these, religions claim that there are one God, whatever. And a lot of the times, these are parasitic entities feeding off of their fear. That's why a lot of different belief systems will tell you, give God all of your problems, all of your fear, all of your pain, all of your hurt, because they feed and thrive off of that pain and hurt. These parasitic entities and energies literally thrive and feed off of your pain and suffering. And that's why it's important to sit with it yourself. That way you don't have to give away that external power, and you can actually fully activate and embody the person, a soul level healing that you were placed here to do in the first place. Otherwise, later on in life, you just become stuck and stagnant and not knowing what else to do, and you feel like you're not growing, you're not evolving, and that's the problem. Like, this is why it's such a huge thing, no matter what path you follow, no matter what religion or belief system you are a part of, why it's so important to really focus on the feelings that are being processed within your body and actually fully embrace that and not shun them and see everything as inherently good or evil. It does not exist. There's a scale here, and the thing is, we're supposed to meet right in the middle and balance that out in order to live a healthy life and fully embody the energy and essence that we're placed here to do in the first place. It's all about life experiences. And the thing is, I also hear a lot where people say things like, oh, well, you left the church, or you're not a part of a religion, or you're not giving your life to Jesus. That's why all these bad things are happening to you. Yet in the same return, they will go to church and pray for people who are believers or of whatever faith that they follow and say, oh, the devil's punishing them. And they always want to use a scapegoat to avoid accountability of just normal life circumstances or things that are being manifested within someone's body. For example, not always, but for example, due to unprocessed shadow integration and trauma, and it's being manifested in the physical world because these things are not being sat with and fully understood. At the end of the day, as I said like 10 times in this video already, because it's getting quite long, we're not here on this earth necessarily to feel comfortable all of the time, because the thing is, we're on this scale and we are supposed to meet right in the middle where we have a balance in our life. So if you're going to have really high, amazing, happy moments, you also have to be prepared to experience some lows sometimes. If you're having low moments, you have to also understand that things will turn around and you're going to experience those high moments again too. This is just the law of the universe. This is how things are balanced out on the scales, and this is natural laws. This is something that we all need to understand how important it is in order to really heal. But at the same time, of course, there are going to be, which I'll get into another time, um, there are things here to distract us as well. There are forces and energies at work that want us feeling down and distracted. But again, that's why I said it's so important to keep your energy levels up and not get sucked back into just living in those feelings and taking them on as this is who I am, because that can change from one day to the next. You don't just have to say that this is how you are, like you're not just this and you're not just that. You're going through these experiences and you're you're growing through them. You're working your way out of them, above them, through them. You can go up or down on the scale. It just depends on how you allow yourself to view these things. And yeah, with that being said, that's really it. If you would like to book a reading with me or a consult, please message me on Instagram under the same name here. And that's all for today. I wish you guys a beautiful day wherever you are, and take care.